From Taylor Lautner's career going down the drain after Abduction, to Taylor Kitsch's career taking a hit because of the god-awful movie John Carter, a lot of these actors' careers have ended because of one bad film. So let's talk about some of the worst career-flopping movies, starting off with Abduction. I bet you've heard of Taylor Lautner, aka Jacob from the Twilight Saga. Well, he was once a rising star with a promising future. But unfortunately, his luck ran out after a few box office blunders. Although Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson also faced their own share of critical and commercial failures after the supernatural romance series ended, Taylor didn't have it as easy. He was attached to several big-budget projects like Michael Bay's film Encarceron and a live-action adaptation of Stretch Armstrong, which never really took off. In an attempt to cash in on his werewolf fame, the actor starred in Abduction, a mystery action whodunit film.
Karen. Hey, get in the house.
But unfortunately, the movie was a critical disaster, and the audience wasn't too thrilled about it either. It was such a bummer that Taylor's career took a big hit, and he struggled to stay in the limelight. Nowadays, the actor's career is in the hands of Adam Sandler, who has given him small roles in Grown Ups 2 and The Ridiculous Six. It's a shame that Taylor's career didn't pan out as expected, but who knows? Maybe he'll make a comeback someday. But the same can't really be said for Taylor Kitsch. Did you know that Kitsch, the guy who played Tim Riggins in Friday Night Lights, almost became a professional hockey player? Crazy, right? But unfortunately, an injury forced him to switch gears and pursue a career in acting. Apparently, the switch of careers wasn't easy for him. According to The National, he had to live rough in New York City, sleeping on subways while he trained. When he moved to LA to try and catch a break, he lived out of his car. Talk about dedication. Eventually, he landed the role of Tim Riggins and gained a cult following. But it seems like that fandom may have hurt him in the long run. When he tried to transition into bigger blockbuster roles like the lead in John Carter, fans didn't want to see him in anything other than his beloved Riggins persona. Unfortunately for Kitsch, John Carter was a major box office bomb. Like a $200 million loss for Disney kind of bomb. Ouch! And when Battleship also failed to perform well, it was pretty much the end of the road for Kitsch as a leading man. Box office analysts predicted that studios would be hesitant to cast him in big roles again. It's a tough break, but you gotta give the guy credit for trying. Credit for effort is also due for everyone's favorite, Adam Sandler, for giving it his all and somewhat making it to the big leagues in acting. But there was a time when everyone thought that the actor's career was dead after his awful performance in Jack and Jill. Now, we all know that Sandler has never been a favorite of the critics, but his fans loved him for his funny and quirky characters in movies like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and The Wedding Singer. But his movie Jack and Jill seemed to be a real turnoff for his audience. It was so bad that it even earned him a bunch of Razzies, which are awards given to the worst movies and performances of the year. After Jack and Jill, Sandler's subsequent movies like That's My Boy and Blended failed to impress audiences. And even Pixels didn't do well despite its video game theme. The Ridiculous Six was also a mess and critics hated it. It seemed like audiences had enough of Sandler's antics and were ready to move on. But wait, the story doesn't end here. The actor surprised everyone with his dramatic acting skills in Uncut Gems. He also showed his softer side in the sports drama Hustle, which was unexpectedly heartwarming. So the actor's career might be attempting to come back from the dead. But let's see what he has in store before we go buying tickets to any of his newer projects. I can't say the same for Jaden Smith though, because after his performance in After Earth, it looks like he really did need a career change. Being the son of the movie stars Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, you'd expect the young star to have picked up on some of his parents' skills. But it looks like he brushed off their tips when he went to set for After Earth. The actor had been making moves in Hollywood left and right ever since he was a kid, starring alongside his dad in The Pursuit of Happiness, and then taking the lead in the 2010 remake of The Karate Kid. But unfortunately, not all the father-son screen chemistry has been as spot on. In 2013, Jaden and his dad teamed up again for the sci-fi film After Earth. It was a big-budget flick with a lot of hype, but critics absolutely slammed it. They especially narrowed down Jaden's performance, calling it unrealistic and mediocre. Looks like Smith took the insult to heart. After that, the actor took a step back from the profession and focused on his music and fashion. He even has his own fashion line. And while he's not making as many movies these days, he did have a supporting role in the short-lived hip-hop drama The Get Down, and a role in the indie film Skate Kitchen. But other than those, it looks like we won't be seeing much of the Karate Kid showing his moves on the big screen. Well, if Will Smith's son can't get a role after his bad performance, Nick Swardson definitely has no shot after his pathetic performance in the movie Bucky Larson: Born to Be a Star. If you've heard of Larson, he's a pretty funny guy. He's a stand-up comedian who's dabbled in acting, and has even worked with Adam Sandler on a few good movies, like Grandma's Boy and Just Go With It. Anyway, back in 2011, Swardson was ready to leap into the world of feature films. And what better way to do it than with his own movie, right? So he teamed up with Sandler once again, and they came up with Bucky Larson: Born to Be a Star. But unfortunately for Swardson, the movie itself wasn't a success. Critics absolutely ripped it apart, calling it one of the ugliest, most misguided comedies in recent years. Yikes! Because the movie only made $2.5 million in ticket sales in the US. Despite all this, Swardson defended the film in an interview, saying that the negative response from critics makes them look like such morons. Hey, you gotta admire his confidence, right? But confidence isn't always key, especially if you start in a movie like Zootopia. The movie was released in 2012, starring the talented Jennifer Love Hewitt. But unfortunately, it didn't do so well, and it seems like it didn't help Hewitt's career much either. The movie was based on a Broadway play of the same name, and it follows the story of a guy who pretends to be Jewish to win the heart of his Jewish love interest. But despite Jennifer's star power, the movie flopped at the box office and didn't impress critics or audiences. According to Rotten Tomatoes, the movie's ratings were pretty low, which was a pretty clear indicator that people weren't a big fan of it. To make things worse, The Hollywood Reporter criticized the movie for relying on dated and offensive stereotypes and resorting to toilet humor. Ouch! That's gotta hurt for Hewitt, who was probably hoping for a hit to help her revive her career. It's a shame for Hewitt that Zootopia didn't turn out to be a success. She had been in some great romantic comedies in the past, like Can't Hardly Wait and Heartbreakers. But this movie just didn't live up to expectations. That's all for movies that ended an actor's whole career.